place your band around your foot, and then you're going to anchor the band either over here in a doorway or around a table leg, or if you don't have access to that, you can take your other foot, cross it over, and use it as your fulcrum. You're going to point your toes down, and then you're going to scoop your foot from out to in. Things to watch for here, specifically as you scoop that foot inwards, you don't want to see this tendon here. This is your tibialis anterior tendon. You don't want to see that popping out. So it strengthens a different muscle if you see that doing the bulk of the work. So keep your foot pointed down and try to keep that tibialis anterior tendon as quiet as you can.
In the right foot, so I wrap my right foot around, or wrap the resistance band around my right foot, and I'm going to use my left foot to position the foam roller where I need it to be to support it so it doesn't move. I sit up nice and straight. Now I know you can only see my feet and my ankles, but I'm sitting up nice and straight. And when I do the exercise, first of all, I want to make sure there's a little bit of tension before I start. I'm starting in the neutral position, then I plantar flex and invert. Plantar flex and invert. Plantar flex and invert, back to the neutral position. You can even hold this for a second or two if you want to, and then back to the starting position.
And you're going to use the wall for stability, okay? You're going to start with your feet right underneath the hips, pointing straight forward. From there, you're going to go into a pretty conventional standard calf raise, but as you're doing that, your heels are going to move kind of to the outside, and your arches are going to be pulled up as high as possible. You're going to hold that contraction for 5 seconds, and then slowly return back to a parallel foot. Again, with your feet directly beneath the hips. And then you're going to repeat. Come up, push those heels out, and pull the arches up. Hold that for 5 seconds, and very slowly come back down.
Feet shoulder width apart and parallel. We will then supinate our feet, pulling away at the band, extending our toes, and then elevating. Be careful not to narrow the heel of your feet, to keep the feet parallel while performing this exercise. Again, from the rear. You may feel somewhat of a cramp in the beginning. Please do not do this exercise at a high volume. Start at a low volume and gradually progress.
The posterior tibialis muscle. The band is looped around the forefoot of the exercising leg with the other leg crossed over the top. The athlete simultaneously pushes the foot down and turns the sole of the foot in against the resistance.
Weighted ball like this that has some weight to it, and what they're going to do is they're going to take the feet, turn it into the ball, and pick it up a little bit. So you can see how that activates the inverters a little bit. It plantar flexes and also inverts at the same time. Great little exercise to help stimulate posterior tibialis muscle strengthening. If you haven't heard of that, plantar flexion and inversion is what it does. So in this case, we're using TheraBand around the forefoot, and this is important that you have the patient back up a little bit. That's 90 degrees. We want to be at about 100, 110 degrees, good right there. Okay, and the other thing that's very important is that when they pull the foot inward, they're going to rotate on the heel and not use the whole hip, okay? So let's do a demonstration of how to do it the wrong way. So you're gonna turn it in like that. That's not correct, okay? So I tell patients, put your hand over here and hold that leg, and you're just gonna rotate from here down. Now I want the foot to stay along the floor, okay? So ride it along the floor, because remember, it's plantar flexion and inversion at the same time. And that's how we strengthen the posterior tibia.
A normal heel raise. We're going to go down to up. Now, in a heel raise here, we're just going up and down. That's not really targeting out particularly tib post. If we add in some rotation, so we come from down and in to up and out, down and in to up and out, rotating the whole body as we go. You can see I'm holding on to something to give myself a bit of balance here. This gives me the dorsiflexion and eversion, plantar flexion, inversion. Dorsiflexion, eversion, plantar flexion, inversion. As I'm working through this, I'm really starting to isolate out little tib post up in here, but at the same time working with all the
is looped around the medial and distal part of the foot that is to be trained and stretched to full tension, while maintaining an inclination angle of 45 degrees. While the examiner ensures tension throughout the whole movement, the patient is asked to slide his forefoot into adduction from full abduction, with the foot remaining in contact with the floor. The total range of motion can be marked with a tape to ensure full range of motion with every repetition.
Is the superficial stroke, where you're getting the soleus, gastrocnemius, and perhaps a little bit of posterior tibialis, a broad stroke. And this is a good stroke, is posterior tibialis. How does this feel, Chrissy? You okay? Okay, great, because some people this is really painful. I got a little bit of a superior angle, not just pressing straight down, but a little bit of a superior angle as well.
back into your classic calf stretch. Okay, to start out with, from that position, if we then bring a little bit closer in, so rather than just pushing the heel down and getting that stretch through gastroc, we can bring the foot a little bit closer in, bend the knee forwards, so we're stretching this leg, bending this back knee forwards over the toes, so into a soleus stretch. So again, people should be fairly familiar with this. This one's getting a bit lower down, but the real difference, only if you come around behind, the big difference is, with this stretch, when we're going from a soleus stretch and the foot straight and the knee straight, we then drop the knee in behind the other knee. Straight away you should feel that we go from a stretch down here to a stretch up the inside here. Now as we push the knee in, be careful of the knee, okay? If there's any discomfort on the inside of the knee, don't push as hard. But, go for it again. Starting out back in the gastroc stretch, soleus stretch, and then driving that knee inwards. Keeping the foot flat, you should really start to feel.
Just find the shin bone right here. I can just kind of go underneath that, or a little to the outside of it, and just start working my thumbs in there until I feel some spots that feel a bit tight, and then when I do, just keep working them out. That works fine. I can also grab a lacrosse ball and just put a little bit of pressure here, so this is just a bit easier on the fingers, and I can go side to side. I can make little circles, and again, just loosening and pulling those tissues apart. I can also do a little double action, a little ménage à trois with the balls, where I can get the outside of my leg and the inside of my leg simultaneously. So we're just doing a little lower leg massage sandwich, and
I can just, again, gradually work all the way down right to the inside arch of my foot across that line. So,
taking your thumb and putting it on the shin. So that shin bone is this flat bone right here. It doesn't feel very good. If you've ever been kicked in the shin, you would know that. So pressure down just slightly, roll your thumb off the back until you feel it kind of drop off right behind the bone. That's where the posterior tibialis is. It starts here, runs down behind the ankle, medial ankle bone, and then into the foot. Okay, so what we want is we want to actually take that ball, we're going to roll it off until we kind of fall off into that trough kind of area, and then what we're going to do is we're actually going to push down and spin to take up the tissue. Now, once we do that, we're actually going to get some movement where we're going to move the foot around little circles, push up, push down, find another spot, spin, do the same thing, and you can do this all the way down the muscle to the side of the ankle, okay? That's kind of the area that we want to paint with the pressure. Now, one little subtlety we can add to this that I really like a lot is actually spin and then drive the ball up towards the knee. So we're actually going to elongate it as well. We're going to put a little stretch on it, then we're going to go through that movement pattern, okay? So we want to try to get 2 minutes on each side.
And position your calf muscle over a spiky ball on the chair. Roll the spiky ball into the back inside part of your leg to create a localized massage to the tibialis posterior.
The two main muscles that are involved in shin splints are from there, I want to
keeping the knee bent. To get the flexor hallucis as long as what we're going to do is we're going to kind of anchor the big toe up on a surface to where the toe is in as much extension as possible, okay? And right here, even when getting that toe, the balls of the feet are on the ground, heels on the ground, you might start to feel a little stretch kind of outside here, just outside the Achilles. What I'm going to do is I'm going to load that foot here, pelvis straight, and I'm just going to rock that knee back and forth here. I can change the angle by keeping my load over the foot, but taking the knee and point it slightly out, and then rock. And then I could go forward and then out, alternating. Also, you could hold it and breathe.
And a block. If you don't have a block, you can stack a book up or something like this, whatever you need. The leg that you're going to stretch is going to get propped up on the block. It's propped up right at the area of the metatarsals. So my heel is on the ground, metatarsals are on the block. My hands come onto the chair, but the key is actually in the back leg. Instead of having my foot turned out like this, I have to turn that back foot so it's completely straight forward. Both feet are facing straight forward. From here, my hip is going to stay where it is, but I'm going to turn the foot out just a little bit. That works on getting this tibia to laterally rotate slightly. Hands stay on the chair, back foot's facing forward. The only action you have to do is take your spine and elongate it. The more that I elongate my spine, the more the stretch goes directly behind the knee to that popliteal area. Once I get the stretch to be at a sufficient place behind the knee, I engage my quadricep, I engage my vastus medialis right here and the rest of the quadricep group to give stability to the knee. Again, extending through the side ribs. If you feel like you want more of a stretch, Your hands can walk forward slightly, just as long as your upper back still stays in this extended position. Allow the toes to be soft, and then allow the nerves behind the knee to relax. Come out, just walk yourself up, go to the knee.
And see how important this muscle is. Here are a couple ways to release this muscle. First, I'm rolling over the popliteus in multiple directions with the lacrosse ball. Next, I'm using a lacrosse ball and putting it in the crux of my knee and pulling my tibia into internal and external rotation. There are many neural structures in the back of the knee here, so if there's numbness and tingling, make sure to back off.
I'm with my patient today, Steve. He's
we have to play with in the popliteus.
You can go two directions, so downwards like so, up and down, and side to side. Now try doing nice and slow. Now if you want to get it to actually target this muscle a little bit more, what you do is extend your leg so you tense your quadriceps and then push down like so. For me already, it feels quite tender. Now with my patients, I've noticed a lot of my